So now I'm at a point where I have my inspiration board document created and I'm ready to start putting some stuff on this document. What I want you to do is I want you to frame up what we're going to do in the next few minutes as compositing. Okay. I know that you are working on your projects and you've been saving images from Google. Maybe you saved them in Pinterest and then you downloaded them onto your desktop and put them in a folder somewhere. But these are all images that you have saved someplace and they've all come from different sources and they have most likely come from the internet. So they're coming in at a resolution most likely of 72 pixels per inch. And what we've done is we've set up this document at 150 pixels per inch. So what that means is if you have pulled an image that is 4 inches by 4 inches off the internet at 72 pixels per inch, when we bring it into a document that is 150, your image is going to shrink by about 50%, okay? And the way I'm calculating the math there is that 72 is roughly half of 150. So again, if I'm taking something that's at a smaller resolution and taking it into a document that has a higher resolution, to make the math work on that, your image is going to shrink. Okay, it can't just magically duplicate the number of pixels and fill it with color. It actually, to maintain the quality, you're going to lose some size if the resolutions don't match up. Okay, so to illustrate this, in the way that I want you to process your project, again, I want you to have your document created, set with the absolute correct dimensions, and then I want you to come up to File, and I want you to open. And so you'll see I'm already opening to my own inspiration board. Okay, I told you guys on Blackboard that I was going to follow along. And so I'm starting my project on Mexico. And I'm going to just pull some random images. Okay, I didn't name any of these. You're going to see what a mistake that was because I have no idea on some of these what I am opening. And I'm just going to select 4 random ones and I'm going to hit open. And what you're going to see is these automatically open in different windows. Okay, it's going to treat these as just entirely separate objects because they're separate images. And what I want you to do to composite this correctly is I want you to come to one of your images. I want you to make sure that you're on your Move tool, which is basically synonymous with your black arrow in Illustrator. And this is a super, super simple concept, but it's just one of those things that takes a beat for you to kind of get used to and do correctly. I'm going to click and hold on my picture. I'm still holding, I'm holding, and I'm just going to hover until this opens. And I'm still holding that picture, and now I'm going to let go. Okay? Again, I was holding my mouse the entire time. And now that I've brought that over, well, just for a beat to kind of illustrate my point here, you're going to see that this image originally was like 8.5 by 8.5. And you'll see over here, now that it's at the higher resolution, it's about 4 by 4. Okay, so again, the math on that is that it roughly shrank by half. I'm going to close that image. I'm going to grab this one. Same thing. Click and hold, and drop. I'm going to do it again. Click and hold, drag, hover, let go. And one more time. Okay. Now, again, the reason I have you compositing and not just, maybe placing these or doing anything like that is that I absolutely want these images to be transformed to meet the criteria of the document that I'm working in, okay? Again, this is super, super important, especially if you're creating something that's going to get printed. Because if I were to place images of varying resolution quality and I went to print it, you may find that on your screen they don't look that bad. Again, your monitors are doing crazy things on the back end to make your photos look crisp and colorful and clear and beautiful. But paper and ink cannot do the same thing. And so if you have things coming in varying quality, you may find that some of your images print beautifully and some of them do not. And you do not want to print anything that looks blurry or pixelated or basically, in my words, just ugly. Okay, quality in this case equals beauty. Poor quality is ugly. Okay. And so now that I've brought these images in, fortunately, I got really lucky here. I have 4 images that, have different qualities to them. So first off, this image over here is probably a really nice size. Okay. Let me close my gossip window that popped up. This is nice quality, nice size. Okay. This image is very large. And so this needs to be sized down, or it needs to be trimmed. And by trimming, I mean cropped. I would cut some of this off. That's something I'll come back to. Then this image and this image are very, very, actually I won't say very, very small. They're definitely small. And it's absolutely okay to have some small images. In fact, you're going to need some because a lot of the interest comes from contrast. So if I have some large ones, some medium ones, and some small ones, that works. But also to hit 14 to 21 images, again, that's not a hard, fast number. I'm just saying, again, when I described the project, I said that if you hit about 7 categories and you have about 3 photos for each category, you're going to come in, in the neighborhood of about 20 pictures. I can't have 20 pictures at this size. I could probably get 20 pictures at about this size, but again, if everything was sized exactly the same, it would get a little bit boring. So some will likely need to be smaller, and you just need to make some decisions. Here, for instance, I have 2 images that are of similar size, but one I can see a lot more detail on. The pieces and parts within this image are a little bit larger. There's simpler coloration happening. It's just a little bit easier to see. Okay, and then this one is a little bit more difficult. So if this were, a view that I needed to work from, I might make a decision that this is the picture that I want to keep, and maybe I delete this one. But I do want to point out just one thing really quickly, is that we are not looking at our picture at 100%. Okay, we're looking at our picture at a zoom of 66.67, and that's down here at the bottom, and that's up here on my window as well. And so if I go ahead and do a Command plus or Control plus, or if you have no idea what I'm talking about with zooming, remember you can go to View and Zoom in. If I zoom in, this is actually a clear visual of what the size of this really is. And while I can see this picture better than I could before, I think my original decision to delete this one and keep this one is still the right call. Okay. So how do I get rid of one of my pictures? I want you to come over here and look at your layers panel. And you're going to see that right now I have 5 layers. I have the layer that I created initially, and each of my pictures, as it was composited in, was immediately given its own layer. Okay, another benefit of compositing. So I can go ahead and come over to the image that I think I want to delete. And I have a couple options here. I can either highlight the layer and simply truly delete it. Maybe I really think I'm never going to use this again. I could totally delete it. But your other option here is I can go ahead and just hit my little eyeball. And I'm just going to hide it for now. And I can reorder my layers by simply clicking on that layer. And I'm holding and I'm just dragging. And I'm just going to put it all the way at the bottom. Okay. Now the order of this hidden layer really doesn't matter so much. But just in terms of organization, I personally like to put hidden layers at the bottom and my active visible layers up here at the top. Okay. And so now if I zoom back out a little bit so I can see my entire board, I can tell that these images are probably going to work pretty well for me. Okay. Now again, there were some things I need to do to the images. I want to size this one down, or I want to crop it. I'm noticing on this image that I have this little black bar at the top and bottom. I need to get rid of those because those are going to be distracting in the scope of my entire board. Little things like that will make it look like I either didn't cover the board entirely or, again, it often looks like a mistake. And now that I'm looking more closely at this image, I see I actually have the same thing going on. There's some kind of trim happening. It's like a border. It's not very consistent because you can see it's sort of irregular over here. I need to clean that up. And to do that, I'm going to need to use some selection tools. And I'll be back in a moment to start talking about how to edit these photos.